So I'm going to show you how to do a correct deadlift. So a deadlift is a full body exercise where you're using your back, your legs, your glutes, and your hamstrings, as well as you're engaging your core. It's kind of like a really good, well-rounded exercise. It's also a bit complicated, so I'm going to break it down for you today. It's not quite a squat, and it's not quite, it's basically not a squat, but there is some squatting elements to it. So what you do with a traditional deadlift, we're just going to work on the traditional deadlift today. There's quite a few variations, but we'll just keep it simple. Traditional deadlift, you're going to have your feet in about hip width apart, so not too wide. We don't want a wide stance on these ones. About hip width apart. You're going to have slight bend in those knees. You're going to make sure that everything's nice and tight, especially when you come down to lift. So a few key things that you want to think about when you're doing a deadlift is you want to make sure that the bar is basically riding your legs. So if you look at this bar, I'm starting from a nice low position. I'm squeezing my glutes. I'm pinching my shoulder blades back. And if you can see, I have one grip underhand and one grip overhand. If you can have two overhand grips, but for a traditional deadlift, you typically have your strong arm under and your weak hand over. So this is what it's going to look like. Hip width apart. I'm bending down and pinching my shoulder blades back. You always want to be eyes forward. Once you drop that head, the body starts to round, and we don't want any rounding in those shoulders. So you drop it down. This actually is a little bit low because I don't have any weights on it right now, so you wouldn't typically, you could do a bar this low, but you usually have weights, so it's a little bit lifted. So I'm riding up, all right? So first things first, we want to get everything nice and tight. So you're pinching your shoulder blades back. Eyes are going to be looking forward. Ride that bar all the way up the shins and up to the hips, all right? So pinch those shoulder blades back. Make sure that core is nice and strong. Squeeze your glutes. You're going to drop it down. You're hip hinging, bringing it down, nice and low, and pulling back up, locking those hips out. So this is what it looks like from the side. Nice and tall. I'm pinching those shoulder blades back. I'm inhaling, dropping it down. I'm squeezing consciously my glutes and my hamstrings right now. So I'm tightening everything in the back of my body right now. I'm pulling up, locking those hips out at the top. Okay, so a few more. This is what it's going to look like. Good body mechanics. You're hip hinging back first, driving that pressure through the heels of the feet, lifting through the quads and mostly the glutes and the hamstrings, pinching those shoulder blades back up at the top. So this is basically a traditional deadlift right here. One thing you don't want to do is when you get to the top, you don't want to hyperextend those hips. So I see a lot of people in the gym, they come up and they go like this, try to lock out those glutes. You don't want to do that. No hyperextending the hips, and you especially don't want to round your back. So this is another thing we see a lot in the gym is people coming down. You can get over to the side, come over to the, there you go. When they come up, they lift like this. You don't want to lift like this. Never lift anything like this, all right? So if you see my back is rounded, coming down, and I'm going, ooh. This is a recipe to blow out your back. You always want to keep your back nice and straight. If you can see mine, keep it nice and strong, lifting through the glutes and the hips. All right, so that is a traditional deadlift, and that's just the basics for you.